Hello everybody, happy Saturday. I wanted to make a video about what it was like to die, because it was pretty good. I'm about to find out again. No, but I don't want to get into the lead up and, all that crap, because that was bad. And I guess that's kind of my whole point here is I remember one time I got an endoscopy, which is where they stick a camera down your throat. And that was the only time in my life that I've ever been under general anesthesia before. It was very strange, because when you fall asleep, for example, you don't, it's not like when you wake up in the morning. Okay, so let me just explain the anesthesia. I remember going into the operating room and they were telling me, okay, we're about to give you the anesthesia. And I was laying on the table, and they put the mask on me, and I was like, I am Gotham's reckoning. That was a Bane reference. No, I was laying there, had the mask on, and they were like, we're gonna give you the anesthesia in a minute here. They started counting down. I think they were like 10, 9, 8, numbers. And I started to get drowsy. I started to sort of doze off. I could feel myself sort of going, like when you're falling asleep. And I was like, oh, the anesthesia must be working. Just as I was about to fall asleep, the nurse shook my shoulder. And I wasn't falling asleep at all. I was waking up after. And I was in the post-op room, which didn't make any sense to me. My brain could not process it, because to me, there was no time between me getting the anesthesia and me waking up. I didn't even feel it happen. It was like a seamless crossfade. And that always puzzled me, because when you go to sleep, you sort of, obviously, like you lay your head on the pillow. Maybe if you wake back up, you feel yourself getting drowsy, but you don't. When you wake up the next morning, you can still kind of feel that time was there, if that makes sense. It doesn't, at least not for me, it doesn't feel like time is missing. Even though I was not conscious, it's like it's hard to describe, it's hard to describe these things. And, I have insomnia, so a lot of times I have learned to really cherish that feeling of drifting off to sleep, because it's a nice feeling. It's sort of like, you know, you are thinking like, oh, I have to do all this stuff the next day, laying on your pillow, oh my gosh, all the things I gotta do. Then all of a sudden it's like, you know, it's a relaxing feeling, sort of feeling like you're just kind of lifting out of your brain or into your brain, or however you want to describe it. But the thing is, I only am aware of that if I then wake up again. You know, if I'm like, oh, I was just about to fall asleep, but now I'm awake more, you know. Like the twilight sleep, if you snap out of it, that's the only way that you feel that it was even happening. Same thing with dreams. You know, they always talk about how dreams, the only dreams that you remember are the ones that you woke up during, because you're not remembering the dream, you're remembering the memory of the dream. Sorry, again, I know, very confusing, but this stuff does get confusing, you know, when you anyway. So, I was sort of laying there, and I was really nervous, you know, because because death is something that is so, I mean, obviously it's very scary. I was expecting it to be unfamiliar, or I didn't really know what to expect, you know. I mean, I had looked up on Reddit, people saying that blah, 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 but you know, all those, you never know if it's just a grifter trying to make a book about how they sucked God's cock in heaven or something. Sorry, that was a little offensive. So I didn't know what to expect. And it was like, I was like, oh no, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? And then, just like the anesthesia, ambulance. Paramedics are I'm seeing the light, I'm like, wah, 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 wah. Which was a little annoying, because I sort of tended to, if anything, I tend to swing the other way into romanticizing death. I always, you know, because I'm depressed. I hate my life. I hate everything about myself. I hate everything that I do. Every moment of being alive is agony and torture. And so, naturally, the only way that I would get through it is by imagining the relief of it one day all being over, and me being relieved, well, just like I am when I fall asleep. Feeling the burden of being alive lifting off of me, or vice versa, however you want to describe it. And I felt sort of cheated, because it was like I didn't get that part. All I got was the anxiety of what was going to happen, and then the shame and confusion of it not having happened, if that makes sense. So I guess the truth is, you know, what I guess was nice about it was the fact that it was nothing, but I only know that that's what it was because I woke back up. If I hadn't woken back up, It just would have been nothing. And a question that I ask myself a lot, when I'm getting philosophical, after I've sort of smoked a doobie, is why is anything anything? And everybody always makes fun of me because they're like, oh, hits blunt, asterisk. Yeah. But I remember once I had an art teacher who said, if we knew what happens when we die, we wouldn't make art. We wouldn't create. We wouldn't do anything. And I really do think that whether we know it or not, everything that we do, every single thing that we do is motivated by death. And I guess I can't, what I really can't get over is that feeling of betrayal. Like being upset that it's like I didn't even get the good part. The good part, Because it's like we have our brains, which were sort of designed for, they weren't designed by anybody, but we used to be having to worry about, we have the luxury of being anxious and bored, and we have the luxury of doing the things that we do or do not do, because we don't have to worry about, constantly being worried that somebody's going to attack us, or having to find a gazelle to eat for dinner, and yet that anxiety and worry still is with us because we don't know what to do with ourselves when it's not there, when we have nothing to worry about. So, I guess the only thing that's really changed for me now, having experienced it, was I sort of, now I have a real grasp of that there's nothing to worry about or look forward to. There's just nothing at the end. We're sort of in life like, I saw a tweet once that said, after the last star in the universe dies, hit your blunt for this one. This is going to be a hits blunt moment. After the last star in the universe dies, there will still be 200 trillion years of total darkness, or whatever it was. It was something, it was a huge number like that, something like that. And if you were to condense it, no, you know what? I'm sorry, I messed it up. It's even crazier than that. It's some number that is not even able to be written out. They got to do the scientific notation where they do the 10. I could never understand. I've got D's in math constantly. So I could never understand that. But the tweet said, if you were to condense that, so if you were to condense the entire history of humankind and the entire era of light, so all the time that all the stars in the whole universe were bright, that would be 1 second, and the darkness afterwards would be 200 trillion years. Something like that. But hopefully you get the idea of what I'm trying to say. You know, for whatever reason, we are like a little spark. That's stupid. For whatever reason, I'm trying to think of a way to say it that's not dumb, but I can't think of anything. Hopefully you get what I'm trying to say. Like, if I wish I had a lighter in my pocket so I could demonstrate. But imagine I had, when I was a teenager, and I used to go in the woods to smoke. I used to, you would flick the lighter. One time I flicked the lighter and right in front of me was a raccoon. And I was like, ah! But that little lighter flick, I was in the woods. Did I mention I was in the woods? Forget it. This isn't even fucking working. I'm gonna do it again. Now I'm jumping. Ah! I'm just kidding. All right, forget it. You know what? I hope that you understood anything that I was trying to say because I didn't. Sorry, I can't think of anything to say.